Hello and welcome back to Chiefsman's Corner, and we are finally live once again. I will be on Discord audio as well as YouTube comments tonight if anyone is around. Please DM me in Discord if you want to hop on the show live. I'm your host, Coach Winuvas, one of the leadership team here in WFL and the coach of the Arizona Cardinals. Tonight's show is focused on one game, WFL Bowl 6, between the Indianapolis Colts and Coach Juke and the Washington Commanders and Coach Waffles. We'll also discuss our offseason process a bit and the schedule around it. We also have an Ask the Chief segment worked into the mix as well. Whether you are live with us or watching the recording of this, thank you for watching. Any and all support is appreciated. Without you guys, the WFL doesn't exist. The first thing we're going to talk about, as we do every single podcast, is the WFL's incentive plan. This plan allows you to get some perks that aren't available for every member simply by doing some extracurricular activities that involve WFL, anything from Twitter to articles on the Neon Sports site, to commenting or participating in the show. Even chatting in Discord can earn you experience points. Anything that makes the WFL a more immersive experience and increases its presence in the Madden community earns you some sort of credit. Link to the incentive plan is available using the command /incentive plan in Discord. You can use the link inside that document to get the form you need to fill out by tomorrow night. Once WFL Bowl 6 is played, no more incentive forms will be accepted for Season 6, so be aware of that. The next thing to talk about is our Ask the Chief form. You can use this form during the week between our episodes to submit any questions you have for me, and I'll answer them during the show, giving you credit for the question. It's an easy way to build up incentive points and provide extra content for the podcast. Use the command /AskTheChief. That is all one word, /AskTheChief, to pull up the form in Discord. Another thing to keep in mind as we are at season's end is the end of season survey. Please use this to tell us what you like and, more importantly, what you don't like about the WFL. I respond via DM to every survey and am the only one who reads them. Speak your mind and let's discuss how to make WFL better. /WFL survey, that's all one word. WFL survey in Discord brings you the document. Also note, these will not be received after tomorrow night's game, just like the incentive plan form. So get them in if you haven't already. Thanks to all of those who have done so already. And one last thing to talk about, our off-season regimen program will kick in once the new season starts. If you're new, be sure to check out how the program works by typing /offseason program in Discord. That's all one word, /offseason program in Discord. You'll also need to fill out ORP forms by typing /ORP form. Again, all one word, and again in Discord. Do be aware that this kicks in once the new season starts, but learning about what's available is always a good thing. With housekeeping out of the way, we're going to talk WFL Bowl 6, but I do want to introduce a special guest host to help out with this discussion. He volunteered for this, so don't be too hard on him in the comments. It's Coach TJ Mack representing the Baltimore Ravens. He is here with me tonight. Welcome aboard, Coach. How are you doing this evening, sir?
I'm doing fine, sir. How about yourself? I said, I'm doing fine, sir. How about yourself?
Very well indeed. Thank you for asking. So let's talk WFL Bowl 6, and I'm going to bring it up on screen for everybody here in just a moment. I've got a representation here off of Neon Sports, and essentially they are guessing based on WFL or based on Neon Sports projections. They are predicting a final score of 30-21 in favor of Juke and the Indianapolis Colts. How do you feel about that, Coach TJ?
I do feel like it's going to be fairly close. With the Colts having a fantastic season, along with the Commanders having a nice season. I think both of these teams going in is going to be well balanced. And I do feel like, the Colts is going to end up pulling a win. If I can score prediction.
So you're feeling like Coach Juke and the Colts are going to pull it out, just like it says on the ticker there, huh?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I think that, no disrespect to the Washington Commanders owner, but I do feel like, Duke has a marvelous, good job with the coach this season. Let's just take a look at Jonathan Taylor, for example, best running back in the league this year, So I think that Duke is definitely going to stick to the ground and pound, and get you done.
I mean, those are good points, but we do have to mention that Coach Waffles came in, kind of sneaked in as I believe the 5 seed and beat some very good teams to get here. I do believe he also upset the number 1 seed. I know he upset the Seahawks. I know he upset the Saints. So there's a lot of good teams that Waffles is kind of, or actually he beat the Vikings as well, the number 1 seed. So he took out the 1, the 2, and the 4 seed en route to his Super Bowl run or his WFL Bowl run. So while Coach Waffles kind of had some folks sleeping on him, even Coach Rim, the Vikings coach, he mentioned in chat today, he even mentioned he kind of slept on Waffles a little bit. And I think that's what Waffles is looking for. He's looking for some folks to sleep on him.
Yeah, I do agree with what you're saying. Waffles definitely snuck in there, and congratulate him on making it to the bowl. And I just want to say good luck to both of them gentlemen tomorrow night. It should be a fantastic, spectacular game tomorrow night.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good game between 2 really good players and 2 really good owners for the WFL. The Washington Commanders and the Indianapolis Colts. And the Colts had their own little journey to get to the Super Bowl or to the WFL Bowl here in WFL Bowl 6. They had some trials and tribulations. They had to overcome a very game jet squad in that AFC Championship game. The Colts were up, I believe it was 21-7 at one point. And the Jets in the fourth quarter come roaring back, just didn't have enough left in the tank to get the job done. They fall 28-23, I believe was the final score there. But Juke had himself a phenomenal offseason. Did you play Juke this season, TJ?
I actually did when I was with the Rams. I was with the Rams. Let's just say he showed what was what with the Indianapolis Colts. So, I give it up to Juke. I think he's a phenomenal stick player. He just does great things with Indianapolis. And, me and him is both from the same city. So, where you represent. I love that.
Well, speaking of Juke and talking about the Colts, it's kind of funny. He got here a couple minutes early. I was trying to delay to get him in here for 6:15. I wasn't sure if he'd show up late on time or early or what. But we actually do have Coach Juke with us of the Indianapolis Colts. Coach Juke, how are you doing this evening, sir?
Doing good, sir. How are you doing? Can everybody hear me?
I can hear you just fine, sir. Hopefully I have the recording set up right, so that way when I play this back, everybody can hear it. That's going to be my one concern, but I think I've set it up right. So we were just talking about you and talking about the fact that both of us seem to think that you're going to pull out the W here tomorrow evening. But what do you think about your opponent, Coach Waffles?
Oh, tough opponent for sure. Plays with a lot of spirit, a lot of drive. Really cerebral opponent. When we play the past, it's always come down to the wire. I only think we've only actually played one time, and he edged it out against me. So, but with that being said, different year, different rosters, different play styles. I think that Waffles really adapts well to his team. I think that what he's done with Sam Howell, that's not even the best quarterback on his roster. He's got Jacoby Brissett, which is a whole 3 overall points higher than what Sam Howell is, but he's taken on the young quarterback and is really thriving with him, dotting people up left and right. I saw that Rimster was talking about that earlier today in the chat. So nothing but respect for Waffles and what he brings to the table.
Yeah, absolutely. Patriots owner has rung in and said, as someone who lost to both the Colts and Commanders this season, don't sleep on either of these teams' defenses. They just might be more of a defensive battle than people think. What do you think of that, sir?
I think that's probably an accurate thing. I think that, statistically, the Commanders really have those numbers behind them, and coaches have said as much. It's a smothering defense. But with us, we're 31st in the league in passing, but don't sleep on that, because we're very bend but don't break. We'll let you get down the field, but as soon as you step foot inside that 20, watch out. There's a lot of young talent in the cornerback room. Juju Brents has been a big player for us this year. Had 9 picks. He's got 10 now, if you include playoffs. And was just upgraded to superstar. So, and then you have Evan Carroll, who nobody seems to want to test. He's had to go out and make his own turnovers. He's got 4 forced fumbles on the season, 2 fumble recoveries, and then Juju also is a big yak guy for us as far as interceptions go. He had over 300 interception yards and 3 touchdowns.
Nice.
So yeah, I mean, both defenses are formidable, and I think that this game is going to be very, very even keeled and very well played on both sides, given that we can limit turnovers.
Coach TJ, you got any questions for Coach Juke here?
Yeah, I just would like to know, Coach Juke. So with all that being said, coming in tomorrow night for the bowl championship, what are you and your coach game plan for tomorrow night? Or do you plan on, sticking to the ground and pound, or, going straight air ball, or, what, game plan do you have exactly going in tomorrow night with Coach Waffles and the Commanders?
Well, I can't go into too much detail on that, TJ, but what I will say is that we're going to play our style of football. And if you watched us at all, you know that can change at any time. Of course, JT is our workhorse running back. He's done everything for us this year. Can't thank him enough. And he's been called a cheat code, but he's the focal point of our offense. And then, of course, our young rookie quarterback Anthony Richardson also can wheel and deal with his legs as well. So I look for us to have a balanced attack, but we'll just have to see what time, or when the lights show up and the coins flipped and that ball goes flying through the air for the first time, what our game plan is going to be.
Well, you do have some experience to pull upon, considering you do have previous WFL Bowl experience. You played in WFL Bowl 2 and ultimately lost that one due to some shenanigans from an owner that's no longer here. But I'm sure you're probably looking forward to a little bit of redemption here in WFL Bowl 6. And congratulations on a great season as the AFC representative. Wish you good luck tomorrow evening at 8 o'clock, I believe, Central Time. Is that correct?
Yep, that would be game time.
All right. Well, I wish you good luck, and thank you for taking the time to talk with us this evening, and we appreciate your time, and thanks for tuning in.
Thank you, gentlemen, and I'll leave with saying this. Good luck to the Commanders and everybody that they have, working for them, and we look forward to a good game. Have a great night, gentlemen.
Thank you, Coach Juke. So, with that being said, we're going to jump into the off-season procedure. So, let me get that pulled up real quick like. Let's see here. All right, there it is right there. Sorry about that. I had a cat wanting to go back outside. That's the beauty of doing a live broadcast. So I'm going to magnify this a little bit so that way folks can see it online. This schedule is available. I posted it today. So kind of, Coach TJ, I know you won't have a whole lot of input with this because this is your first off season with us. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go real quick through the off season schedule and essentially kind of go through the process. Now, some things, especially this first part here, hiring new staff. This is all stuff that if you are already out of the playoffs and you're eligible, you can go ahead and do your coach resigns. To give you an idea, I went ahead and did this already since I qualified being below 500. But do be aware that you have to qualify to fire your offensive and defensive coordinators. You either have to have a losing record the previous offseason, or you finished in bottom 10 in either offense or defense. And that one's a key one because if you finish in bottom 10 in offense, you cannot fire the defensive coordinator. You can only fire the offensive coordinator. If you finish bottom 10 in both, obviously you can fire both. But in that particular category where you finish bottom 10, you can only fire the position for the area you were bottom 10 in, if that makes sense. This will only be about a 12-hour span. It will be pretty much from the Wednesday, November the 8th. It will start in the morning, and it will basically end by that evening. We will then jump into our setup for re-signs. Re-signs can also be done during the staff phase, just as a friendly reminder. But the re-sign phase is the absolute last time you can negotiate with guys. If you do it during the staff phase, it will also end that negotiation. So basically, either during staff or re-sign, you can choose to re-sign. But do be aware that players, once they say no, you will not have another chance to go after them in the re-sign phase. So if you do it early, you only get one shot no matter when you do it. Make sure you follow all our re-sign rules. So if you've got guys on the 50% list you're still trying to negotiate with, be aware that you have limitations on that based upon how many people you have on your 50% list. You can pull all that information up. I believe the signing sheet is the command. I put out a video this afternoon talking about how to help you find custom commands or how to find help on custom commands. I encourage everyone to take a look at that video. It's about 6 minutes long. It'll help you out tremendously on that. Once the re-sign phase is done, which again is going to be about 12 hours, on Thursday, November 9th at 7 o'clock, between 7 and 9 in the morning, I will open up free agency stage 1. I'm going to come back on screen for just a second so that way you can see the face. For all stages of free agency, matter of fact, for the entire offseason, I will be the only one who will be allowed to advance us. No member of leadership other than myself will be allowed to advance us. And there's a real simple reason for that, and that is to help keep up integrity around sniping. To be fair, every league has this problem where when you set a deadline for certain stages of free agency, some goober nut or goober nuts will come in like 5 minutes before the deadline and basically up all their bids to basically get number one in the list. And then when we advance, they obviously get the benefit because they jumped on at the last minute to up their bids. In an effort to stop that from happening for everyone, or as much as I can, we actually do it in 2-hour windows. So for example, when you see stage 2 beginning, it's a 24-hour stage for stage 1. You have 5 bids you put out. You essentially put your best 5 bids on the 5 players you have the most interest in. You can also do some other things like position changes. You can also do ORP forms. You can do incentive forms. All of that can be done during this time. But the main thing we're focused on is free agency stage 1. And on 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock Eastern time on Friday, so sometime Friday morning, I will advance us to stage 2. It is anywhere between that time frame. So starting at 7:01, I can advance us right at 7:01 if I want to. I can wait till 9:01 if I want to. It can be sometime in between. But at some point, on this Madden, I'm going to have to hop onto the console. Normally in the past, what I've done to keep up integrity and make sure nobody's sniping or any of our leadership in particular are sniping, what I do is I would advance from the phone using the companion app. However, with the change in the companion app, which we all kind of know about from having to deal with waiting on it for Neon Sports, there are issues around it to where I can't advance right now from the phone app. It basically errors out. So what I'm going to do as a kind of fail-safe measure is I can record my play offline on my console. I know we have some users that do it where they record offline and then they upload the data afterwards. I will do the same thing with any of the advances for free agency. And the reason for that is real simple: transparency. I want you guys to see exactly what I'm doing when I'm doing it, so that way if something happens where, say, I win a player in free agency, I don't want to be accused of sniping. I don't want anybody accusing me of sniping. So I'm going to record everything I do. So basically from the time I fire up the PlayStation 5 and can start recording, I will record. I'll record Madden loading up. I'll record myself going in. It's going to be the most boring recording ever, but it's mainly to make sure I have transparency around what I'm doing online. Okay, that's the basic reason. And I will do it offline so that way nobody can be online looking to see, oh, Winuvas is online. Now's the time to snipe before he advances it. So you're not going to know when I'm doing it. That's the whole point of it. I do a 2-hour window, so it's kind of rough as to when you know I'm going to be on. But just be aware that it can happen anytime in that range. So once that time frame starts, at any point therein, I can advance it for us, okay? Stage 2 of free agency will begin on Friday, November 10th. It will go about 12 hours. And then free agency stage 3 will also be that'll be a little longer than 12 hours. It'll probably flow into, say, the 14, 15 hour mark. And then on Saturday, between 5:30 and 7:30 is when I'll advance us to the last chance to scout, which is where we check our win lists. We'd finish posting positional changes, scouting for the draft. I will state for the record as I come back on screen, all trades involving players ends 1 hour before the draft begins. And the reason for that is real simple. All leadership are going to be paying attention to their draft. Some of us will be doing a draft show. We don't have time to be approving trades during the draft. In fact, we've never allowed trades during the draft. And I know it's not realistic. It's not super realistic. I get that. But at the same time, leadership have to approve all trades, and we're not going to sit here and approve trades during the draft. It's just not going to happen, guys. I'm sorry. So trades involving players lock 1 hour before the draft, which just to kind of pop it back up on screen, that's going to be from basically 8 p.m. Eastern time. Is going to be when player trades lock. Pick trades lock 30 minutes before the draft, and everything starts at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time on Saturday, November 11th. If we have capabilities, I've got to talk with Juke. We're hoping to do a draft show. Him and Cold and myself will do a draft show where we go through most of the draft. I'll have Buckman's big board available for it. I'll be talking up prospects as we go through. It's usually a pretty good time. I will tell you that we do all 7 rounds. For this stage, we do not currently have draft timers on, but I'm not going to let people sit on their picks for 10 and 15 minutes. I'm going to give you a little bit of time. If you're not online, your pick will be skipped unless you've told me beforehand you are logging in via direct message on Discord. We're going to skip people that aren't there, and just be aware, set a draft board list if you're not going to be there, essentially. I know there's a couple folks that have already said they won't be there. Set a draft board, set your favorites board, so that way you guys can have your draft executed to the best of the computer's ability. Once the draft is done, as soon as the draft is done, we're going to advance to preseason week 1, and this is a little different from previous cycles. Normally, we've advanced just to preseason week 4 and been done with it, but now, with the advent of training camp, we're going to pause at preseason week 1, and we're going to give you 24 to 36 hours. It's a rough deal. Maybe it's a day and a half to do training camp. You can also finish putting in position change forms, ORP forms, incentive plan forms, whatever you've got available. And then once we hit that point where training camp is over with, you can also play your preseason week game on if you want to. You do not have to. But once we hit that 24, 36 hour threshold, we will announce it more specifically at the time of it. So 24 to 36 hours, and then we're going to quick advance to preseason week 4 where everybody's on a bye week. We're going to take another 24, 36 hours to get everybody to 53 man's rosters, 10 to 12 for the practice squad, and make sure all our ORP forms are filled out if we desire to use them. All incentive plan changes must be posted by the time week 1 begins. Once week 1 begins, anything that isn't posted will not be altered. I want to kind of come back on camera to make sure I emphasize that. Anything that's not posted by week 1 is not going to be changed. If you post before week 1 begins, we may take the time into week 1 to edit it, but as long as you post your changes before week 1 begins, you are locked in. You will get your changes done It just might not be right at week 1 because we have 32 owners, we have 32 teams, we have 7 people in leadership, 6, 7 people in leadership. We only have so much energy. So, and I know one of us is going to be tied up for the next couple of days with some real life stuff. So we're going to be a little bit shorthanded. Nothing that's to panic about. Just we're gonna be doing the best we can, but just be patient. We will get to you as long as you post before week 1. Okay. So that kind of ends the off-season schedule. I mean, that's pretty much the schedule. We have a template we go by. I just edit the template. That's what I did here. And that pretty much locks us in as far as our off-season goes. And now I'm going to fast forward to the Ask the Chief segment. Now, I need to see, first off, let me pop back up. Coach TJ Mack is still here. That's good because I want him to ask his question because, well, he posted the first question. So, Coach TJ Mack, would you like to ask me your question live?
Sure, why not? So in the Chief segment question, I wanted to know from you, how do you feel about this year's playoffs? More specifically, how did you feel about the upset battle between the Jets and the Bills? Because I know in one of your Chief segments, probably a week beforehand, you was banking on the Bills to go all the way. You know, obviously, as we all saw, despite the, interruptions with EA and, things of that nature, we all knew that uh, the Bills ended up taking the loss.
Well, I think first off, I mean, that's a good question. The playoffs are always an interesting time to watch games. You always get some surprises. But to be fair to Coach DePerot and the Jets, when we played our tournament games, because before we started our league, we played some tournament games to kind of keep ourselves active while we were waiting on the companion app to drop for EA so we could do Neon Sports. We had a little tournament that we did. And I want to say he placed, I believe he was in the finals, if not the semifinals. He beat a lot of good guys to get to where he got. So he deserved that spot as far as getting to the point where he played the Bills. But I'll be honest with you, Meek Boy was here for a hot minute in Madden 23. He was here for most of that cycle, and he was dominant. Like, he embarrassed folks. So, to be fair, I kind of slept on DePerot there in the Jets going against the Bills just because of the fact that I mean, Meek Boy is just when he's got it turned on. I don't think there's anybody in this league that can beat him, and that's not a slight on anybody in the league. I've just seen him when he's on, and when he's on, he is ridiculous. So it was kind of one of those things where I just felt like it was just an irresistible force. And whenever the Jets went in, they went in with a good game plan. They played them tough, and essentially EA screwed it up, the pooch. But Meek Boy basically said, you know what, the Jets earned the W, give them the W. And while that's normally not the way most people would react in that way, I kind of tip my cap to Meek Boy in that regard because I think it's one of those things where I think he knows he'll be back. He knows he's got the skill to be back. So it's one of those things where, you know what, I'll let somebody else have it this year. Because I know he plays in other leagues. He's like, I got some other leagues I'm playing in that I'm competitive in, that I'm competing in. You know, let somebody else have this one, and I'll catch it next year because I'm sure he'll be back next year. But in the NFC side, I will state the run by Waffles completely floored me. I really didn't see that coming, even though he went 11-5 11-5. I thought Carolina had a shot at him. I thought the Saints with their offense, the Saints offense has been ridiculous all season. And he just stifled him. He just said no.
Yes, he completely. I agree with you. Waffles completely slept on me too. And like I said, no disrespect to anybody we talking about today. We just talking good football. And Waffles, you did your thing. Um, so like I said, good luck to you and Juke in the championship game, as well as Meek Boy. Hey, I can sink him play. And like you said earlier or a few moments ago, he's definitely when he's on, he's on. So, good job in the season. I think he had the best record this season, I believe. If I'm not mistaken, only lost three games.
I think it was
like
tied. I think it was tied.
Okay.
I think there was a couple at 13-4. I know he was one of them.
Okay.
I think there was two guys that were 13-4 though. But still, I mean, he had a phenomenal year, and he got further than you or I did.
Yes, definitely.
So
yeah.
The other surprise, honestly, and this is because I've played this owner more than a few times. I'll be honest, I've not played Waffles all that much because typically we've either been in opposite conferences or I'm just not on his slate of schedules for that particular set of for that cycle. But I have played Coach Rimster and the Vikings, and everywhere he goes, he plays offense. He doesn't play much defense, and he'll tell you that. But he will score. He will put up basketball scores on you if you're not careful. To see him stymied that much, to see the Seahawks stymied that much, who have put up a lot of points this season. I mean, we've had teams scoring 30 and 40 points regularly, and I know he held the Seahawks to like 6 points. He held the Vikings to like I think 13 points maybe. I mean, he held teams to ridiculous totals in the playoffs. So. I think WFL Bowl 6, I think Juke kind of said it. I think it could be a defensive battle. And if it is, it might be boring to some, but it will be an interesting fight. And if it stays in that low scoring range, Waffles has a puncher's chance to win it.
All right.
So
you would say that you going with Waffles more times than not?
I will put it this way. If we're looking at a score that doesn't go any higher than the low 20s, 24 or less for both teams, Waffles will probably win. If we get into the high 20s to 30s, Waffles will probably lose. And that's not a knock on him. That's just that's his style of game. He wants a low scoring affair. He wants to drag you into the mud. And if you don't go into the mud with him, you've got a good chance to beat him because unfortunately he doesn't quite have the players, the horses yet. But give him a year, give him a growth with Sam Howell. I mean, he's going to be right there again. But I think if WFL Bowl 6 gets into the high 20s and score, I think Juke's probably going to have a banner. If it stays in the low 20s or lower, Waffles has at least a 50-50, if not better, shot to hoist his own banner.
All right.
So,
well, there you have it.
Yeah, there you have it.
Coach Winuvas has spoken.
Yeah, but Coach Winuvas is more often than not wrong, so it'll probably be like 51-47, and Waffles will win. It'll probably be something goofy.
Right. All right.
So let's see what the next question is. Crazy Fast with a little bit more of a humorous question, which I kind of dig. What's the worst contract in Madden, and why is it Russell Wilson? Because the Broncos in real life are idiots. I've got nothing else. I really do. I'm sorry that you're a Broncos fan, Crazy Fast, because that's got to be miserable to watch. If it makes you feel any better, you're playing with my old coach from the Saints, Sean Payton, who is finally starting to look like he's competent again. He hasn't looked good, and I don't know if it's the Broncos or if it's Sean Payton or a little bit of both. But yeah, Russell Wilson's contract is pretty abysmal. I don't think there's going to be much worse out there for what you're paying in Madden for what you're getting. Yeah, and plus he's, I think, 34, so he's going to regress. Oh dear, I don't like that. I wouldn't like that if I was Crazy Fast in the Broncos. All right, let's see what we got here. Number 3. I might have to scroll it across here because this is a bit of a long question. Too Cold asks, and he's got a point. This season seemed to be the fastest ever in my time here. If we keep this up, realistically, how many seasons do you think we can go? Well, I'll be honest. You say it's the fastest since you've been here. I've been here quite a longer time than you, Too Cold, and I will say it's probably, honestly, the fastest we've ever played. We had a lot of 48-hour advances, which for us is honestly unusual. And in some cases frustrating for me because it's real hard for me to play that fast with my schedule and my setup. But the league kept it up. This has been, honestly, my scheduler, who's the Raiders. He's my main scheduler guy. He's told me multiple times, he's like, this has been the easiest job I've ever had. He's like, he's barely had to get on to anybody about how to schedule. Everybody's been posting stuff relatively quickly. He hasn't really had to harp on anybody to post. He's like, this is wonderful, man. Can we keep this up? So realistically, I always say that if we don't do sim seasons, which I don't think we're doing this cycle, but I'd love to work in at some point. If we're doing just base stuff, I think realistically with this pace, we can get 5 seasons in. And that's including us playing a little bit past and beyond what we normally play, which is usually we end around the draft. If we play a little bit out, I think we could get 5 seasons in because this has been about 2 months. So 5 months would be 10 months. That would put us around the June, July mark, late June for the 5th season. I think we could get 5 seasons in if everybody's still plugged in at that point. So with the way it is now, everybody's still kind of excited. Call me in season 4 when everybody's kind of halfway checked out and doing summer stuff or playing other games, which is usually what happens. The Madden grind gets to you. But I would love to get 5 play seasons in. We are working behind the scenes on doing simulated seasons. We got to work out the logistics on that and get it approved by leadership before we present it to you guys. But I would love to do sim seasons so we can get more seasons in the cycle and make these contracts that we're signing even more powerful and potent. So just kind of a heads up on what we're looking at behind the scenes. And then final question. I'm going to answer the first one because the second one's really going to be hard to answer, but I'll read both of them out. Austin Jackson says he wanted either one of these. What team could you see making the biggest splash in free agency, or who would be your under the radar most? Oh, come on, go over. Oh, is it not going to go over all the way? Most, let's see, let me read it here. Most improved, I think. Most impactful free agent player. There it is. I can't really answer the under the radar most impactful free agent player, mainly because I don't know who's in free agency yet, so that's a little bit tough. Ask me in a week. Well, can't ask me in a week because it'll be done. You can ask me who I think might be for next season. So I'm going to answer who could make the biggest splash, and honestly, it's going to be the team with the most cap space. I could see somebody really overpaying for stuff. I know for a fact I'll have about, I want to say 70 mil available, but some of it's going to be eaten up by rookie reserve. But I don't see myself making a huge splash in free agency unless there's just somebody there I gotta have. The team I could see making the biggest impact though, you know what? I know who I'm gonna say. I'm gonna say a team that has been making waves in posting about trades and stuff. Somebody that's always active in off-season stuff, and that is the Seahawks. I think the Seahawks make a jump in something. I think they move some cap around. They do some Loomis magic because they have the ability to do it. I think they cut somebody that has a bunch of money, and then they go out and they sign somebody crazy. That's who I'm going to go with because he's also going to make trades for like 47,000 people in picks, and he's going to try and build a super team because that's what Polio does. He loves doing it. He loves having like the bajillion trades he gets from having the extra incentives, and he uses them to the fullest for better or worse. So I think, honestly, a little sleeper team, I'm going to say the Seattle Seahawks make the biggest free agency splash this offseason. And with that, our show is over. So, Coach TJ Mack, I think you're still here. Are you still here, sir?
Yes, I am. I'm still here.
All righty. Well, I wanted to thank you in particular for kind of jumping on and doing some co-hosting duties. If you want to do this again sometime, we might work it out to where we can get a little bit more back and forth. I know tonight you didn't get a whole lot of chance to talk a lot, but I do want to say I appreciate you jumping on and giving this a run. Thank you very much for your time, sir.
Yes, sir. No problem. I just want to say thank you for, you and leadership doing what you guys do and making this a very fun and interesting league for us all. So appreciate you all.
Thank you very much. We do appreciate it as always. I want to thank again Coach TJ Mack from the Ravens for joining me as a co-host, and also Coach Juke and the Indianapolis Colts for jumping on, talking a little bit of WFL Bowl 6 and his team, the Indianapolis Colts. And obviously, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Whether you're tuning in live or you're watching the recording of this, I appreciate it. The WFL appreciates it, and we hope you're entertained by the show. Let us know by throwing us a like, a subscribe, leaving any sort of comments. Feedback, good or bad, is always appreciated, guys. And until next Monday, which next Monday is going to be a recorded one, the corner is closed.